Okay, so hi everyone. We are going to start the session of today. As you can see, I wanted to do all these topics, but we're not gonna have enough time. So I'm just gonna do the if-else, the while loop, the do while loop, and then the for loop. So let's start. Okay, so I already created a package here named if-else. Let me just create a class. I'm gonna name it use if-else. Okay, so first I'm just gonna start with the basic if-else. It means just the if statements with the condition and then what we want to print out. We're gonna make it very simple. So let's start. Let's say we have an integer variable named age, and then we're gonna initialize it to 20. Okay, so we have age equals 20, and then we're gonna say if age, let's say less than 30, and then we want to print out, let's say you are young. Okay, so this is a very simple if statement. So we have the age set to 20, and then we have the condition, which is if age less than 30, then print out you are young. So in this case, 20 is less than 30, so it's going to print you are young. So it's printing you are young. So now, let's say we put the age equals, we set the age to 40. So in this case, 40 is not less than 30. So it's not going to print you are young. So actually it's going to print nothing because we don't have another statement. So let's just see. Okay, so you see it's printing nothing. Okay. So in this case, if we want to print something else in case this condition is not true, what we need to do is use the else. So we're gonna do else. This out. Let's say you are old. Okay, so basically what we want to say here, so we want to say that if age is less than 30, I want to print this. Else, it means if age is not less than 30, I want to print this. So in this case, age is 40, so it's not less than 30. So actually it's gonna print this one. So let's just check it. Okay, so you are old. Okay, so this is a very simple and basic if-else statement. So here what we have to know is that if-else statements always start with if, and then it ends with else. It means that else must be the last. But actually between these two, we can have many other conditions. It means before to execute this one, we can put here many other conditions, and for that what we use is the else if. So in this case, what we can do, so let's just do one example. Else if let's say, so if age is not less than 30, so let's say that age is less or equal to 60. Okay, so in this case, I want to print let's say you are not that old. Okay, so what I want to do here, so basically what I'm trying to say is that if age is less than 30, so then print this. But in case age is not less than 30, but actually it's less or equal to 60, I want to print this. You are not that old. And then else, I mean, if it's not less than 30, it's not less or equal to 60. In this case, I want to print you are old. So let's just leave it like this. Age equals, so we set the age to 40. We see that 40 is not less than 30, but actually it's less than 60. So it should be printing you are not that old. Let's just see. Okay, so you are not that old. Okay, so basically what I wanted to say here is that the if-else statements should start with if and then it should end with else. But actually between the if and the else, we can have as many conditions as we want. Okay, so actually this is a very simple if-else statement. We could make it more complicated, but actually you can, I think that we can play around with that and then try to make it more complicated. Okay. So I think it is gonna be, I think it's enough for the if-else statement. Okay, now let's try to do, let me see. Okay, so let's try to do the while loop. Okay, let me just close this. Yes. I'm just gonna create another package for while loop. Okay, let me just I'm just gonna create a class. Let's name it use while loop. Okay, so we know that basically the loops, I mean while loop, do while loop, and then for loop, they are used to let's say for repetitive tasks. If we want something to run again and again and again and again, it may be forever, or we can set a limit for that. So, but basically it's a repetitive task. So in this case, we use the loops. So let's start with the while loop. So we have the while loop and the do while loop. So we'll see the difference between them. So let's start with the while loop. Okay, so let's say we have an integer a equals to, we're gonna set it to 10, okay? Okay, so here, the while loop, so the syntax for the while loop is going to be, so while, and then here we're gonna set, let's say, a condition. Let's say a less than 20. Okay, so while a is less than 20, so I want to print let's just print the value of a. Okay, so while a is less than 20, I want to print the value of a. Okay, so you see here that a is 10. So we set a to 10. So is 10 less than 20? Yes. A is less than 20. So it's going to print the value of a, which is 10. And then if this value doesn't change, so if a is 10 forever, so 10 is going to be less than 20 forever. So it means that the while loop is going to execute the code forever. So in this case, if we don't want that, we need to set a limit for the while loop. So how are we going to do that? It just by, so there are two possibilities. It depends on the code. We can increment or decrement, we can increment or decrement a. Okay, so in this case, a is 10, and let's say we want to reach 20. So in this case, we need to increment a. So we can do a plus plus. Actually, it's going to increment by 1. It means that a is 10. After that, a is going to be 11, and then 12, and then 13, 14, and so on. So actually, we can increment it by 2, for example. So we can do it a equals a plus 2 in order to increment it by 2, or we can do a plus equals 2. So it's the same thing. So it's going to increment it by 2. Okay, so in this case, it's going to check the condition first. It means it's going to look to the a, look at in here. So a is 10. Is 10 less than 20? Yes. So it's going to print the value of a, which is 10. And then it's going to add 2. So 10 plus 2, it's going to give 12. So is 12 less than 20? Yes. So it's going to print 12. And 12 plus 2, it gives 14. Is 14 less than 20? Yes. So it's going to print 14, and so on. So let's just save it and run it. Okay, so you see, it prints 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. So when it comes to 18, so 18 plus 2 is 20. So is 20 less than 20? No. So in this case, so this is the end of the while loop. Okay, so you see, for the while loop, it checks the condition first, and then it goes to print, to execute the code. Now, let's see the do while loop. Let's just create another class and then use do while loop. Okay. Okay, so for the do while loop, there is a difference. So we said that for the while loop, it checks the condition first and then it goes to execute the code. But for the do while loop, it's going to execute the code first and then it's going to check the condition. So this is the difference. So here with the do while loop, even though the condition is not true, we know that the code is going to be executed at least once. Let's just, I'm just gonna say an example. Let's say we have an integer a. Let's put it 10, like the previous one. So here for the do while loop syntax, it's gonna be do, and then let's say sys out. Let's say we're just gonna print the value of a, okay? And then so we want to do this. I mean, we want to print out the value of a, and then we're gonna do while, let's say, a less than 20. Okay, so as you can see here, we want to print out the value of a while a is less than 20. So in here, a is 10, and then 10 is always, it's going to be less than 20 forever. So in this case, it's going to execute the code forever. If we want to set a limit, we need to, in this case, we need to increment the value of a. Okay, so let's just do it a plus equals 3. Okay, so we're going to increment the value of a by 3. So let's just run it. Okay, so it prints 10, and then 13, and then 16, and then 19. So in here, it checks, it's going to print, to execute the code first, and then it's going to check the condition. So even though we put a value here like, let's say 30, so we see that 30 is not less than 20, but actually it's going to execute the code, but just one time. You see? So it executed the code first by printing the value of a, and then it's gonna go here and then add 3 to a, so it's gonna be 30 plus 3, so it's gonna give 33. So is 33 less than 20? No. So that's why it's printing the code. It's executing the code only once. So this is the difference between these two. So the main idea that we need to remember is that for the while loop, it checks the condition first, and then it goes to execute the code. So for the while loop, if the condition is not true, so it's not going to execute the code. But for the do while loop, it's going to execute the code first, and then it's going to check the condition. So in this case, even though the condition is not true, we are pretty sure that it's going to execute the code at least once. Okay, so I think this is for while loop and do while loop. Let me see. Okay, so we did while loop, do while loops. Okay, so let's do the for loop. Okay, let me just create another package. For loop. a class, let's say use for loop. Okay. Okay. So for the for loop, what we need to do is okay, so let's just start the example and then I'm gonna explain. So for the syntax for the for loop is going to be like this. Okay, so for, let's say, so we have an int a. So what we need to do for the for loop is to set like the starting point. I mean, what is the value that we start with, and then we need to set the limit, and then we need to either increment or decrement. So what we're gonna do is just the starting point for this one, we're gonna do a equals 0, and then we're gonna do a less than 10, and then we're gonna do the incrementation. I mean, in this case, we need to increment. So we're gonna do I plus plus. Okay. So now we need to. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not I. It's A. Sorry. Okay, so we need to print, let's say, we're just gonna print the value of A. So basically what we are saying here is that for int A equals 0, it means the first value of A is going to be 0, and then for A less than 10, and then A plus plus, it means that we increment A by 1. So I want to print the value of A. So in this case, it's going to print from 0 to 9. Okay, so it's printing from 0 to 9. Okay, so this is a very, let's say, a very simple for loop. Actually, we could use, let's say, an if statement in this for loop. So we could do, let's do A equals 0, and then A less or equal to, let's say, 21, and then like this, A plus plus. Okay, we can use an if statement here, so we can say if A 3. So what I want to say here is that if we divide A by 3 and then the remainder is 0, so I want to print the value of A. I mean, I want to print only the values for which the remainder is 0 when we divide A by 3. Actually, we need to do this. Okay, so I make this mistake all the time. So in here, we are not going to initialize, but we are going to compare to 0. So that's why it's not just one equal, so we need two equals, because we are not initializing the value of A, but we are just comparing with 0. Okay? Okay, so if the remainder equals 0. So I want to print the value of A. So let's just put this here. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let's just save it and run it. Okay, so you see it's printing 0 and then 3 and then 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 and 21. Let's say if we put here 20, basically it's going to print only until 18. Okay, so it's printing only until 18. Okay, so what we wanted to do here is in this for loop, we used an if statement. We didn't want to print all the values from 0 to 20, but actually we wanted to print only the values of A when the remainder is equal to 0 when we divide by 3. Okay, so this was for the for loop. Okay, so I think that I'm going to stop with this one. But actually, I just needed, I just wanted to get some help. So before I stop, I just wanted to get some help from you guys. Let me just show you something. Practice. Okay. Actually, I'm a little bit struggling with the reader. Okay, so maybe Fahim, can you please help me with that? Let me just... Okay, so you are unmuted. Fahim, are you there? Okay, I think that he's not here. Okay, so actually, I'm trying to do the file reader and the buffer reader. So we already saw that we need to do the file path here. When I'm trying to do okay, Fahim, are you there? Okay. Okay, so let me just show you. Let's say that I want to get the path of this file. So what I do is that I just right click properties and then I just copy the path from here, and then when I put it here, okay, so you see it shows that there is an error, but actually I don't really know how to fix that. Copy with C. Okay, let's try. Okay, so I need to copy the whole thing. Oh. Okay, so it's still the same. It's still showing the same error. Okay, give me just 1 second. Just 1 second. So what's the name? Anand. Let me just find you. Okay.
Hi. So, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So, the way I learned it was in last night's mentoring.
Uh-huh.
Um, we were able to just drag and drop a file uh, from if it's on your desktop
Okay,
and
so,
drag and drop it directly into MS DOS.
okay, let me try that. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so let's say it's this one.
And the only file types that print out clearly onto Eclipse are
Mm-hmm.
TXT files. So,
Yeah,
um,
this one is .txt.
okay, so if you could possibly find that file, save it to your desktop, and then
Mm-hmm.
just drag and drop it. That's just one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to use this one. Okay.
okay, so
Let.
um,
I'm just gonna open my CMD.
I want you to click on the file
Uh-huh.
and then drag it over to MS-DOS,
Okay. So it's
and
in
then
here.
copy what's in the quotes, and then
So I
not
copy everything until here.
yeah, try that. That should work.
Okay. Let me just try to put it in here. Okay. So it's still. Let me just try again. Okay. So this.
I think if you just hit Control C, that will
Yeah.
do it.
Control C and then Control
Try it.
V. Okay. Okay, so actually it's still
Hit
showing
Save All.
error. I'm sorry.
Hit Save All.
Where can
Just
I
to save.
do that?
The save button
Oh,
on the
here?
top left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess see what the error says. Go over
Okay.
it.
So it says invalid escape sequence.
Hmm. I'm sorry. I try.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually.
I think Fahim is back, so maybe he could do a better job than me.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. So, Fahim, are you there? Do you hear me? Okay, so Sukanta says that I need to put double slash. Let me see. So you mean in here, I need two slashes? Okay, so it's still the same. Fahim, can I unmute you? After text? You said after text? No. Okay, so this is for all. Let me see. Oh, okay. So now it's not showing the error. Okay. Oh, I think now it's working. Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay, so I think that that will be all for me in X issue. Yeah. Um, but actually, I don't know who is going to do mentoring now. Can you just tell me? Debashish. Okay, let me just find. Okay, so I'm just going to. So are you here? So is he here? Okay. Can you give me? Okay, I can give you 5 minutes. No problem. Okay, so I'm just gonna make you presenter and then start whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you. Let me just change presenter. Where is he? Okay, he's coming soon probably. Okay, so let's just do. So should we wait for him or can we do maybe something else? Okay, so I don't know. He said that he needs only 5 minutes. I don't know if I can do something in 5 minutes. Oh, I'm the boss. Thank you. Okay. Can you go to for loop screen? Okay, use for loop. Okay. You mean this one? Mm-hmm. So do you have a question here? Okay. Can I see the reader class? Yes. You're welcome. Okay, so it looks like Debashish is not here. Okay, Debashish, do you hear me? Okay, so are you ready? I'm going to make you presenter. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay. You can share your screen. Okay, thank you. Let me just unmute you. Attendee. Okay, you are unmuted.
Hello?
Hey,
Can
yeah,
you guys hear me?
yeah, thank you.
All right, perfect.
Thanks.
So I'll go over scanner method and ArrayList using scanner method, how to implement any ArrayList or anything like that. So let's create a file. So we call it mentoring. Okay. And let's create a package. I could say ArrayLists. Sorry, I'll take out this one. We can call it mentoring. And there you go. Perfect. So for first of all, you have to have static scanner to I'm trying to make it like I'm trying to scan some numbers, and so I could get those numbers later on to implement somewhere or do something with it. Scanner. So system.in will probably look for all the it's reading the numbers. That's why you use them to read anything and read any integer or anything like that. I'll have array list. So what type of array list do you want? Probably looking for numbers, right? So it would be integers. So I called it array, new array list. So I have to call this one integer 2, integer. There you go. Right, so I'm having issues here. So I have to import scanner method, scanner class, and array list. There you go. So we created a new array list of type integer, which can hold only integers, and we called it array. We called it like array, and it has no parameter because of the I didn't put any numbers or anything. That's fine, I guess. So we're gonna create. This is a main class, so we have to create our arguments and all that. Public static. Actually, I'll do the easier way. I could just do MA and then control. There you go. Okay. So system dot out. I'll do the easier way. Sorry. So I'm just gonna write like please enter and numbers of enter numbers and what type 0 type 0 type in 0 when you're done. Okay. So we're gonna have a while loop. That while loop will have an integer. We have to call it in. All right. In not to 0. To 0. Sorry. If it's hold on, let me write the thing and then there you go. So, oh, I didn't call the in, right? That makes sense. Sorry. So we put in, but we never called it. What is it, or anything like that. So we have to put int in equal to reader dot next. Reader dot next and So we have our while loop here. So what it's doing is, since we created an array list, we can access it directly through the, because we already created the array list, so I could make an array and I could add into it. That's basically it. So I put in reader dot next. What number? So okay, so I don't have to put it because we're going to add all of them. So basically, we're putting all the integers and we're just adding to it. That's pretty much it. There you go. So from here, after this is gonna, the while loop will execute after this. So the user will type 0 in here in this situation. So whenever you type 0, the while loop is not going to work, and the loop is done. Basically, the program will be terminated. Yeah. So I could make print array I'll change. So I could write you press the 0 and the program has terminated. We can make a for loop right now, and we could put int I colon array. So what this doing is we're scrolling through each item of an array, and we're getting that item, and then we have to we're putting that into an for loop, basically a variable where we could declare as I with type integer, because I is basically integer. So whatever number we have, we get, and we're just taking out the numbers we put before. Or else what number you like to delete. So now I would put something like if you want to delete any number, it could delete it, and it will be deleted in the next array. That's pretty much it. Yes. So we have to to delete the error. So delete the numbers. So we create delete reader dot. There you go. Let's create a print array since we didn't create it. Void print array. And we say numbers have been printed. The numbers are, I guess you could just say that, and so I have to have a for loop to print it out later on. And array. There you go. So I have to say I. I'm getting an error right there. I shouldn't get there, so I'm not even sure how long. Oh, that was a mistake. Print array. I did that. There you go. There you go. So let's run it. So they're saying to type any number, please enter numbers. So I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll press 0. So what numbers would you like to delete from there? So I'll delete 5. And then press 0. So if I run it again, oh, probably didn't work. So I'm having trouble here. Let's see. So if I do 3, I guess it doesn't. Okay, I see what's going on. Oh, so I never used if array, sorry, array dot get equal to double equal is basically equal delete, then sorry. So they're saying I haven't created it. Think can see in delete being used, right. So yeah, I'll create something for delete actually. Hold on a second, give me 1 second please, sorry. Franchise system. So I'll need this. Give me 1 second. So I'll create, sorry. System dot would you like to number would you like to delete, and then in delete next. So right, so I'm gonna use for a loop for this one. I could use int I equal to 0, array size, and I++. And I could write if array if array dot get I array dot remove. That was the reason. So I never created anything that would delete my numbers or anything like that. That was the case. And let's put delete. There you go. Once you have delete. There you go. Sorry. So whenever it's removed, so I'll have break to end that. Break will put it as put an end to it, and break will put us here to print array. Break will put it here. For loop. Right. I don't even need the delete function. Okay, I don't need that. So it's still having trouble with this one. Two. Let's see if this works. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. So I would say 5. Exception. So I think I'm having trouble. I thought I understood the situation, but I think I didn't get it. Well, anyone could help me? If hey, I think Fahmi is not here, so Ibrahim, can you help me? What's the problem exactly? Too much of ArrayList. Have used too much. Okay. So yeah, I was trying to have numbers of and then delete the numbers from the ArrayList, but I guess it didn't work. I'm quite not sure why, but or if it knows. Hold on a second. Systems that add internet and okay, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, my goal was to show you guys with the scanner where I could read some numbers and later on I could just delete whichever numbers I want to. So it didn't work. Probably next time I'm mentor, I'll show you guys that and I'll show you guys more. All right, guys. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't finish it up. Maybe next time.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay, so thank you, Debashish.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, so I'm just gonna change presenter. Okay, so I think that that will be all for tonight. I mean, unless anyone has a question. Okay, so I think that I'm gonna just end the session for tonight. So thank you, everyone. See you next time. Thanks.